Hey y'all, hey, back with another video. So we are doing Last Man Standing, Naked and Afraid, Season 2, Episode 2. Appreciate everybody that watched the first one. Thanks a lot. So, let's get right into it. So, there are very high winds going on. Very excessive winds. We'll get into the whole cold front situation in a little bit. But again, it's really, really cold. So Kate is not doing very well. She's so cold, and she is apparently the only person that's fucking cold. Nobody else seems to be cold but her. I'm saying that fucking sarcastically.
Of course.
She got on my damn nerves. When she called it the Hunger Games, I said, yeah, it's time for you to go. I think it's time for you to go.
Yeah, when she did say that, I was kind of like, what the hell are you talking about? Like, that doesn't even make any logical sense. Nobody's dying out here. It's just cold. That's called naked and afraid. That's called being out in the wilderness.
But how would she know? She tapped her first time, so
she tapped every time.
Every single time. So girl, bye. So
I don't understand why they even brought her ass back.
I don't know, but Patrick was worried or whatever that she was gonna, leave, because then that would leave just him and Jeff, by themselves. So then Kai and Dan, and their group or whatever, they were pretty much trying to waterproof their shelter, which I know. I'm gonna give you the platform now to say this. You have a really big thing when people sleep on the floor on these shows.
Yes. Okay. I would say common sense on this portion here, but apparently common sense is not that common in Naked and Afraid. You lose majority of your body heat through the ground. Why, in order to stay warm, would you sleep on it then? Like, animals even lay on the ground to cool down in the heat of the day. Africa and Australia. So I don't understand where that's coming from. And another thing that I always say is, too, get your ass off the ground. Like, elevate it. Not just for the body heat portion, but bugs. Luckily, Africa apparently doesn't have that much, or they didn't complain this season that much, at least.
Yeah, not at all.
So I hope if I ever get selected on one of these shows that it's in Africa.
Yeah. So they're pretty much trying to waterproof their shelter. And then, again, so we have this cold front that's coming over the mountains. So, it's making it really, really cold. So everybody has pretty much been trapped in their bomas for the last 2 days. Nobody was really able to get out to go do anything just because it's so ridiculously cold. So it keeps going, and it says at some point it got up to 80 miles per hour winds. And so they had some medical team come out and pretty much say, like, if they continue to be like this, with nothing, then you're risking everyone getting hypothermia. And of course, obviously, from a legal standpoint, what is this, Discovery or whatever? Yeah. Discovery ain't got time for that. So they pretty much give everybody a hide. And when they initially said it, I said, Jeff's going to be pissed. Jeff's going to be pissed. So what do you think about that? Do you think, obviously, you can't let these people get hypothermia. But this is how I feel about it.
How you going to ask me and then continue to ask yourself?
You're absolutely right. Go ahead first.
The way I look at it is, I feel for Jeff. If he had that advantage in the game, and you gave out everyone else a pelt as well for a survival standpoint or for an emergency standpoint, he should have received the extra one. I'm sorry. That's the only way I could see that being fair. Otherwise, that advantage is no longer an advantage. That challenge was for nothing then, technically, because now everyone has it. So I feel like either A, it would have been smarter for the producers to actually, like, give him an extra one as well, or say, well, seeing how you... the survival item that you did get is something that everyone has now, just for emergency purposes. We're going to give you something else. Now, I think that's a little cheating. That's why I'm sticking more so with the, an extra pelt. Because that's bullshit.
The way that I look at it, though, is once that little cold front or whatever went over, They should have gave those hides back. That's my problem. My problem is that throughout the rest of the episode, and we'll be reviewing the next episode sometime soon, but they still got to keep their hides. And I feel like that was a one-time situation where the wind was getting real crazy. I think they should have got it for the night, or got it, during that little bit of time frame.
During the emergency.
During the emergency. And then once the emergency is up, give it back. Because again, yet again, production, Discovery is playing in Jeff's face. Yet again. So,
I feel like they did that specifically because Jeff so, I don't want to say disliked, but so well known that they're like, all right, dude, we're just like, we don't even care anymore. We're just going to do whatever. And if it screws you over, win-win.
Yeah, pretty much.
That's how it came off almost.
Yeah, so at this point, Kate is still complaining. She's still complaining. Again, talking about how her feet is white and she's just complaining at this point. So
Which I'm going to say this too. When you get cold, she's not a exception. This is a human nature or natural thing. You lose circulation to the outer extremities, meaning feet and hands. Of course, they're going to look white. I'm black, but I'm telling you, they will probably look very pale if I was in that situation too. Mm-hmm. But sorry, cut you off.
No, you're fine. So Patrick comes up to her and was like, or do you want to tap or something? And she's like, I don't want to tap, but I would stay. Like, if it wasn't for the weather. The weather's just so bad. Like I really would like to stay, but like there has to be better weather. And I'm just like,
this is not a vacation. This is a survival show. We're not here for you to feel comfortable. Bitch, how many seasons are we in now? And how many different iterations of Naked and Afraid is there now? Bitch, this is your third time coming on here. Excuse my language towards her. No disrespect. No, fuck that. Disrespect. I don't like her. Yeah, like, what the fuck did you expect? Why would you come back on her expecting anything less? I don't remember why she tapped before, because she's not that memorable. But, yeah, I'm sorry. No, nothing she said made any sense. And once she said, I would stay if the weather, I'm like, oh, bitch, you're about to tap. Just go with it. What the fuck are you waiting for?
Yeah, pretty much. And so then at this point, she's like, I want to see the producer. I want to see the producer now because I'm ready to go right now. And it's like, I don't understand why she turned up like that. Like, are we missing something, production? Are we missing something, Discovery? Because I'm not understanding how it went from I'm cold and I want to go home to her having a straight attitude, unless she's really just that bitchy, which is very much so possible that she's just like that much of a bitch. Like,
which will make her that much more unlikable.
That much more unlikable. And then to tip it even over even more, when she's saying that she's leaving, first of all, Jeff was trying to be nice and tried to give her a hug, but I don't know if you could see, but she didn't really like reciprocate anything to them. And so he was like, is it okay, if we take your hide or whatever? And, pretty much everything that they had, I think it was like a knife and a rope and I think the hide. And so she was like, no, that's okay. I'm just going to keep it. And they're like, but that would be really helpful for us. And she's going to like, no, I'm going to keep it. And when she got in the car, she said in her confessional, the reason I know they're upset, but the reason I'm keeping it is because I'm still playing the game even if I'm not in the game. Bitch, what?
That pissed me off so much. You know what that reminded me of before I continue? You remember, I think it was Naked and Afraid XL threw the blade in the thing and tried to submerge it under the water.
That's what that reminded me of. Yep.
Why would you do that? And in this situation, you tapped. You no longer qualify. You doing that to them ain't doing nothing but making their time more miserable. They're not like you, though. They thug it out. They stick it through. They survive Naked and Afraid through mosquitoes, through cold, through heat, all of that shit. So while you doing that, ain't doing nothing but making it more miserable for them. And like I said, that just made no logical sense. That you were never a competitor in this whole competition. You were just here, I assume, again, I think I said it in the first video, for the clout. Like, you're just here for the cameras. Like, I'm sorry.
That's all it was.
What the fuck were you truly... Producers, what were you thinking? You were better off just grabbing a random pedestrian and throwing them out there. They probably would last better.
Don't ever invite her back.
Please don't. I don't want to see her in anything.
Don't waste her time.
If y'all have a reunion, don't even bring her back.
Don't waste my time. Don't waste his time. Don't waste the audience time. Don't waste your time. Don't waste the daggone the airline attendant that would help her. Don't waste the cab driver's time. Don't waste the daggone hotel front person that she's at. I don't waste nobody's time.
Don't even waste the mosquito stab that's gonna bite her on her ass.
Lord, for goodness sake. So she leaves. Thank goodness. So we go to day 5, and so day 5 they go to the, what is it called? The bail tree.
Baobab.
Baobab. Is it Baobab? Baobab.
So you got me about to say it. Maybe, baby.
So they went to the baobab tree, and so this is pretty much telling them their next challenge. So the next challenge is that they pretty much have to find bait in elephant dung, so elephant poop, and they have to pick out pretty much 20 seeds. From there, they have to crush the seeds up and build like this 9-layer trap with a trigger. So, first of all, do you know how to make a trap like that? Have you ever done that before?
I've never personally done it. I've seen Bear Grylls do it on Man vs. Wild, which, spoiler alert, that's where most of my, if not all of my survival skills come from. Yeah, no, I've never actually done it, but I've trapped birds and other means.
Yeah, gotcha. So they went, so it's time to head off. Everybody goes, they go through the elephant poop or whatever. They seem to find it pretty fast. Like, I forgot who found it first, but that part went pretty fast or whatever. Now, the next part that was disgusting is that they had to pretty much crush the seeds. Now, at first, people were going to try to use their rocks, but they realized that was going to take too long, so it was time to start chewing. That's nasty. That's disgusting. Give me a different task to do.
I hear you. I do. But I've watched Man vs. Wild. That is my role model. And when he got thirsty to show you could survive on various other liquids, he squeezed elephant dung. Excuse my language here, but shit.
I know, he did.
To drink.
He did.
And told us it's edible or drinkable. Now, I wouldn't recommend it as, your daily intake, but in a survival situation, yeah. So in that regard, he didn't say it tasted nice. I'm sure it doesn't. But they're just seeds, and at least in this case, it's not literally freshly out of its asshole. It's a little drier, as you can tell. No. So, yeah, I mean, I tried mushrooms before. It's about the same process, if not a bit cleaner.
Again, so people get done with that first part of getting the seeds. Now everybody's crushing up the seeds, and then it's time to move on to making the layer trap with the trigger. So Jeff and Patrick said that they've never made one before. Danny said that she has a little bit of experience with one. Bullet, Kai, and Darren said he knows how to make one. Of course.
My man Darren, he gonna win this shit. Watch.
And then we have Fernando, Trish, and Dan. I forgot if they said they've ever done that before. So again, so now everybody's pretty much working. So Jeff and Patrick are freaking out a little bit because obviously they're down one person compared to everybody else. So how did you think that all of that went? Just that whole section of them trying to make the trap.
That whole process, again, my boy Darren, I had all faith in him. I don't remember who it was that came in first or anything there, but it was unique to watch. Some of the sticks that I was watching them grab, I'm like, clearly that's too thick.
Yeah.
And the other one that you're using to parallel it is not even close to the same size, so there's clearly going to be gappage here, and they keep repeating, or the narrator keeps repeating that there can't be gaps or the bird might escape.
Yep.
Yeah, no, it didn't make any sense for a lot of people. I don't remember exactly who it all was, but I would argue at least 2 out of what, 3 teams?
Yeah, so Jeff and them were struggling a lot. Kai and her team, they were doing somewhat, but Gary and his team were moving really, really slow. So if you remember, they were like just slowly building it up because Danny, was saying how she really didn't want any gaps, but it was taking a really, really long time. So
that's because that girl's a vegan and she's fucking starved out there. She's using that as an excuse to look brave.
Bless up. So the way that ended is that Kai and her team got first place, so they won 3 ostrich eggs. Dan and his team, they came in second place and they won 2 eggs, and then Gary, Danny, and the other girl, they came in third place, so they won 1 egg. Meaning Jeff and Patrick walk away with absolutely nothing. Now, throughout that time when Jeff and Patrick were doing it, they both pretty much were in their confessional saying how it was the other person's fault. So Jeff was pretty much saying that, like, Patrick didn't really know what he was doing. He wasn't grabbing the right sticks, and so he could tell he's really inexperienced. And then Patrick was saying...
I think it was that part. I think Jeff said on that one was... he said he had the trigger ready to go. But reality was he didn't really have it ready to go.
Yeah, but that goes back to the inexperienced part.
I mean, yeah, technically.
Yeah, so he's like pretty much saying, yeah, he's inexperienced, and Patrick felt like Jeff swore that he knew what he was doing, but it really didn't seem like he knew. I don't know I can't remember if it was like the way that he was putting the sticks together, but he was like, even throughout the whole time of them doing it, like I could tell that Jeff don't really know what it is that he's doing. So just keeping that in the back of the mind as we move forward.
Oh, with that being said, too, they both did say at the beginning that they didn't know what they were doing.
That's a fact. That's a fact.
So that all goes out the window. But go ahead.
Yeah. So we go on to day 6, and we're just kind of watching everybody pretty much like enjoy their ostrich eggs, except Jeff and Patrick. So we see Jeff and Patrick talking. And Jeff is pissed about the hide thing. He brings it up again. He's like, any type of leverage that I had, specifically just from like a trading point of view, is now gone because my hide doesn't mean anything to anybody anymore. So they really want to get a bow. Now, if they had the hide, they might be able to actually leverage something. But now that everybody has one, it's no point. Again, back to my point, what I said earlier, I think they should have had it for the emergency time, and then it should have been given back. I don't think that that's fair at all. I really don't. And
going back to Kate again, she's definitely a bitch because, like Jeff pointed out too, he even let her use it because it was colder than and she just wouldn't stop complaining. So out of the kindness of his heart, he said, "Here, take my extra one."
Yeah. So to go and try to get a bow, Jeff comes up with this plan to possibly trade with Gary and his group because they have 2 bows. So he goes over to Gary's group, and he pretty much says, like, hey, I want to kind of make this deal with you. So it's not really so much a trade, but if you was to allow me to use your bow, whatever I get kill-wise, you guys would get half of it. And so Gary is in his confessional pretty much like, no, I'm not about to do that or whatever because I get 100% of everything. And so Jeff was pretty much trying to say that, like, Danny's a vegan, so she's not going to really use it. And then he was like, you can't, I doubt that Lindsay is that good of a hunter, and you know that I'm, like, pretty much okay with the bow. So your chances of getting something is going to be higher if I have the bow. But Gary pretty much wasn't really with it, and Lindsay felt the same way. She didn't like the idea. Now, Danny, surprisingly, in her confessional said pretty much that she just kind of let them make the decision, but she said that pretty much since they got the bows, that they pretty much, like, Lindsay and Gary just kind of decided, like, that they were gonna pretty much have the bows and keep in control of them. And she was like, I mean, pretty much saying that she had a problem with it, but she wasn't gonna say much. Now, my thing to her is, what was you gonna use the bows for, though, if you're a vegan?
And honestly, I think she was just trying to say that as an excuse to be like, well, I don't want to help our competitors because if I'm starving, why should they be able to eat? You know what I'm saying there? But do I agree with her? No, because now you're taking possible food out of your partner's mouths. All because you feel some type of way because you're hungry. No one told you to choose this lifestyle, and choose this lifestyle and come on naked and afraid, and choose this lifestyle and go on naked and afraid, and not know all of the local vegetation to a T, like expert levels. Mm-hmm. So yes, I'm sorry. Yeah, you're going to starve. You're going to have some animosity, but yeah, that's not fair to your partners.
It's really not. So let's go on to a trade that actually did go well. So Dan goes over to Kai in them group, and he pretty much puts on the table like, hey, we want a bow again so that we can go hunting, and we have one egg pretty much that we're willing to give up. So again, would you guys be able to trade this egg for the bow, and also whatever it is that we get, we'll pretty much share with you guys as far as if we get a kill. They thought about it, and they pretty much all agreed that that was perfectly fine. So now that's that trade. What do you think about that trade? Do you think that made sense?
It does make sense. It don't seem like they were worried about losing an egg, meaning they had another one in reserve anyway. Mm-hmm. And then the potential aspect of them even getting big game, which is most likely what they're going to be hunting for, to win-win on their regard. Mm-hmm. Feed your competitors, yeah, but you're also feeding yourself too long term. So, yeah, that was a great transaction. And if Danny and them would have did that, well, Danny would have had some eggs.
Yeah, and kind of getting back to what you said about Danny. So we see Gary, he's out and about, and he ends up shooting a squirrel. So he brings the squirrel back, and so him and Lindsay, they're about to eat, and they both say, that they kind of feel bad, because Danny comes up and, she's a vegetarian, so it's not much that she can eat. And so Danny pretty much says in her confession that she was like, I'm going to assume it's because Gary and Lindsay may have done this together before, but it's just like clear that they're much closer. And, I'm always the odd one out. That's just how it always is. And so it's like, I get what you're saying. Yes, you are always not probably going to be the odd one out because you're a vegetarian. Most people don't really eat like that, but it also feels like what you said earlier, like you're just upset.
100%. Like I said, it has to be that, because what I gathered, it was nothing but love.
Yeah,
they would love to give you part of that squirrel, even though three-way split's a lot worse than two. But you don't eat meat. Yeah, you're gonna look at that salivating at the mouth. I don't care if you love every animal on this planet. Like, even when one is born that you never met before, you're still gonna look at that in a survival situation, starving. Like, they're getting calories. I'm just sitting here, withering, dying. Yeah, no, you're gonna have animosity. That's just human nature.
Yeah, I think that's pretty much what it is. So then we go over back to Jeff and Patrick, and they're pretty much able to catch a lot of small fish in the pond that was by them. So by the time that they were done, they caught a total of 50. So, as they said, ostrich egg or not, we got it in. That's a decent amount of fish. And you do always say you don't get why when people like catch one, they always stop. Like, why don't you keep going? So that's like a good example of exactly why you should probably keep going. If you want to roll, keep it up.
Literally. And if you're in this situation and you ever find yourself on Naked and Afraid, please don't use the small fish and turn them into fillets. Just boil them. The fish itself is going to be nutritious. Then you still got the broth, which is even more nutritious, full of oils and fats. Just common sense would tell you to do that, but it don't seem like common sense is very common.
So then it's day 8, and we see Danny. She's still struggling, looking for food. She finds a nest or whatever, a bird's nest. There ain't no eggs in it, so that girl is already so tiny, so she's like almost nothing at this point. And so the ironic part about that, though, is Patrick is walking around kind of like in their area of where Danny and them stay, and he pretty much found another baobab tree, and all of the, I think it's like the flowers or things like that fell off of the tree, and that's something that you can actually eat. Yeah. And so if Danny would have actually found that would have been like a lot of, resources and calories for her. And so Patrick, he pretty much got all of them up, brought them back to the camp to Jeff, and he was like, yeah, we about to crush this. Like, I'm not sharing that all with Danny. Danny did throw the first punch in the sense of grabbing Jeff's rope first. So, yeah, and at the end of the day, this is a competition, so I wasn't mad at it at all.
No. And again, going back to being beating a dead horse, going back to season 1, this is why I kept saying it don't make sense why all of y'all are trying to fucking help each other out. Well, at the end of the day, only one of you are going to have to get this money. You can't work together to get that. So you got to play dirty. And that's why I like this season 10 times better than the last one. But yeah, like I said, if you're going to hit that punch, I'm not going to help you either. I'm not going to be happy to watch you starve. But I mean, you're going to get medically tapped before it's life-threatening anyway. So why do I have to worry?
Yeah. And so that pretty much was the episode. At the very end, we see that Dan and his camp, they kind of create like this net or whatever where they can kind of scoop up fish, and it does really well. And the pond that they're by or lake that they're by is like very plentiful with fish. So it just shows that they're pretty much getting a whole lot. So that was pretty much the episode. What do you give this episode out of 10?
A 10. I mean, it has its ups and downs. I'm so happy that Kate is gone. So I'm going to give it, I mean, I'm happy they put it in the beginning versus the end. So I'm gonna give it like a 9.
Yeah, I was gonna say I'll give this one a 9 because it gave me a nice little range of shit. So yeah. But yeah, y'all get in the comments. Tell me what y'all think. We'll be back with the next episode. Bye.